So, what if you could build an entire financial research firm from the ground up, but staffed entirely by AI? Well, today we're looking at DeepValueIntelligence. It's a new open source framework that does exactly that. It aims to bring a really disciplined, structured process to the, let's be honest, often chaotic world of stock analysis. Let's dive in and see how it works.
But first, let me ask you a question, especially for anyone who's ever gone down the rabbit hole of researching a stock. Does the whole process sometimes feel, well, a little messy? You know the feeling. You're looking at charts over here, digging through dense 10K reports over there, and then you're trying to make sense of a dozen conflicting news articles all at once. It's a lot to juggle. And that's really the heart of the problem, right? Traditional research is so often fragmented. The people looking at fundamentals are in one silo, and the technical chart watchers are in a completely different one. News and what people are feeling about the stock? That stuff kind of gets sprinkled in informally. And a serious, hard-nosed risk review? That often happens way too late in the game, if it even happens at all. The result is this tangled chain of reasoning that's just almost impossible to follow. So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to see how this framework builds a virtual firm of AI analysts. Then we'll meet the specialists on the team, we'll watch them debate, and we'll see exactly how they get to a final verdict. And, maybe most importantly, we'll uncover why the process they follow might just be the most valuable part of this whole thing. Okay, let's jump into the solution. How do you actually fix that messy, fragmented process? Well, you build a virtual firm. And this is where DeepValueIntelligence really comes into play. So what is it exactly? It's what's called a multi-agent AI framework. And that key phrase, multi-agent, is everything. Instead of just throwing a single giant prompt at one big AI, this system coordinates a whole team of specialized AIs. It's designed to create a workflow that actually mimics the structure of a real-world investment firm. And that really gets to the core idea here. The best way to think about this is not as just another piece of software. You should really picture it as a fully staffed digital investment firm where every single AI agent has a very specific job to do. That metaphor is the key to understanding how this whole system ticks. So who are the employees at this digital firm? Let's meet the first group on the assembly line, the specialist analysts. These are the agents whose only job is to go out and gather the raw intelligence. And each one of these agents is super specialized. You've got the fundamentals analyst, who just pores over a decade of financial data. You have a Buffett-style value analyst looking for those competitive moats. There's a growth analyst assessing the market potential, while the market analyst is all about the charts and technicals. And finally, you have social and news analysts scanning the web for sentiment. Each one is an expert, tackling their own distinct piece of the puzzle. But, just gathering data is only the beginning. This is where things get really innovative. The next step is forcing these AI agents to actually debate each other. This is where a strong investment thesis gets forged, through conflict. The framework does this on purpose. It deliberately creates an adversarial process. It literally pits a bull researcher who argues the optimistic, best-case scenario against a bear researcher whose entire job is to argue the pessimistic case and poke holes in the bull's logic. They're forced to challenge each other's assumptions, which ultimately makes the final thesis that much stronger. This all builds into a really clear four-step workflow. First, the specialist analysts submit their reports. Second, the bull and bear agents have their debate. Third, a synthesizer agent, called the investor, takes that debate and forms a cohesive plan. And finally, and this part is absolutely crucial, a risk committee comes in and challenges that plan, hunting for any blind spots before a final conclusion is ever reached. So, after all of that analysis, all that debate, and all those risk checks, how does this entire process actually deliver a final, clear verdict? Let's take a look at the output. The entire complex process gets distilled down into one of three simple stances: advocate, watch, or avoid. But honestly, the final label isn't really the point. The real value is the transparent and rigorous process that gets you to that label in the first place. And that whole process is laid out for you clear as day in the final report. It's structured so you can see absolutely everything. You get the quick summary up top, of course, but then you can drill down into the raw analyst reports, you can read the back and forth of the bull-bear debate, see the investor's plan, and finally, read the risk committee's ultimate conclusion. You can trace the logic all the way from A to Z. This brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway of this entire system. The real value of a framework like this isn't just about trying to pick winning stocks. It's actually something much, much deeper. This quote from the developers really says it all. The true product here is the disciplined reasoning pipeline. It's the structure, it's the audit trail, it's the ability to see exactly how and why a conclusion was reached, from the very first piece of data all the way to the final word from the risk committee. So why does all of this matter? Well, for one, it creates consistency. It forces the same rigorous process every single time. It delivers transparency, giving you a fully traceable line of reasoning. By its very design, it ensures a multi-perspective analysis. And finally, it's an open-source tool built for education and research, not some secret black box trading bot that nobody understands. And all of that leaves us with one last, pretty provocative question to think about. By enforcing a structured, adversarial, and completely transparent process, could a disciplined AI team like this actually end up being less biased than a human one? It's definitely something to chew on as this technology continues to evolve. Thanks for tuning in.